calm and peaceful and serene weddings and marriages as well. We commit all this time to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah.
Just a question.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Is this recorded?
Yes. This is. Yeah. Okay. Okay, friends. Welcome to NMBF Coffee Chats, which is essentially a Christian discussion forum. We try to pick up topics and issues that are not generally discussed in churches, but which are really important to our living. And we also sometimes have topics that are for the greater society, for the nation, and sometimes even of global relevance. Yeah. Okay, today we are discussing a topic which is for our community about dreading the wedding, and we've just observed that weddings have become so much of a grand thing, and that they kind of celebration part of it, or the pressure to put up a show in front of people really moves it away from God's original purpose, from something that should be meaningful, something that the bride and the bridegroom should enjoy. One of our professors used to say the most important man in the wedding, person in a wedding is the cameraman, because he gives directions to everyone. Even the priest has to listen to him. So so we just thought it's important to look at it, maybe rescue it from what the world and its culture is pressuring it to become. So we are very thankful to our speakers, Brother Cherian Thomas and Dr. Jamila, who have agreed to speak on this topic. Just a quick introduction of both of them before we dive into the topic, and we can hold our questions, towards the end, or if there is an interaction, you are free to respond. Yeah. Brother Cherian is a regional leader for World Vision International for the South Asia Pacific region. He worked in the corporate sector in finance, banking, infrastructure development for 29 years before joining World Vision 9 years ago. He is married to Jamila Koshy for over 33 years, and they are parents to two grown-up daughters. They attend the Marthoma Church, Primrose Road in Bangalore, and have been engaged in work among university students through UESI for over 4 decades. They are also active members of the Tracy community and have co-authored and contributed to a few books on marriage, family, and contemporary issues. Dr. Jamila is a psychiatrist in practice. She graduated with an MBBS from the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune, and completed her postgraduate studies in psychological medicine from the University of Bombay. She has served in the Indian Army. Jamila has also contributed to many books and journals. The books Side by Side, Talking Families, Should I Care, and Public Theology are some of the books. And also, yeah, Public Theology, exploring expressions of the Christian faith are part of the initiatives in group writing on issues of contemporary concern. She's also the board member of Tracy. So warm welcome to both our speakers, and also welcome all those who've joined. Let's get into the session. Over to our speakers to lead us on this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Vijit, we have a virtual...
Your volume is low.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Is it okay?
Yeah. Yeah, can you say something? Yeah, it's clear. Actually, my volume was low on my side. So you're fine. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so thanks again for inviting us. Just thought we should give you a few updates. I am no longer with World Vision. I retired from World Vision in the end of September. So at the moment I'm retired. So that's one. We've been married over 36 years now. So if you need an updated quick,
I know.
we will send that across to you. But,
right.
Yes, that's okay. It's just important that I clarify I'm not with World Vision anymore. So that's so I'm more an independent free bird. We have a virtual background. So sometimes you will find that in virtual backgrounds, when there are two people speaking, or two people on the screen, we can fade in and out. So just just ignore that. You will keep hearing a voice even if you don't see a person, much like Apostle Paul on the road to Damascus. So that is what would happen. Okay, so we'll just project a few slides. We'll start before we go on to. Yeah, can you see the screen?
It's appearing. Okay, yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah, so we'll start by just looking at ultimately the purposes of marriage, just to put the context on where the wedding fits in and where the wedding ceremony itself is. And I think for ultimately, when you look at the whole area of Christian marriage, what we need to remember is that Christian marriage is, if you look at what the purposes are, and just have to study the first 2 chapters of the book of Genesis, and we get these facts very clearly right at the beginning, because God ordained marriage. So it's a companionship of equals, of 2 equals, so that they would enjoy friendship, love, and intimacy. So the purpose of marriage is to, as 2 equal beings, to enjoy friendship, to be able to love each other, and also to be intimate with each other. And we talked about intimacy in marriage in one of our earlier sessions with NMBF as well. And again, our intimacy results in the fact that we also then, in the normal course, because of the physical relationship, in the normal course, children are a product of marriage, and that the marriage itself as an institution serves to be the framework for how the human race itself will continue. And that's what the Lord had told them, that you be fruitful, increase in number, and fill the earth. And more importantly, a task was given to both the first man and woman, which was of working and serving together as God's image bearers and stewards. So that clearly is the purposes of marriage, as or a purpose of Christian marriage, as the Bible teaches us. Now, when we look, therefore, at marriage, we also need to know that this is based on a certain choice that is exercised by a couple, hopefully trust in God and believing that this is part of God's will and plan for their lives. Simply because marriage, or deciding whom to marry, is perhaps the most important human decision that any of us would make. Of course, the most important life-transforming decision for a disciple is the decision to follow Jesus. And after that, because of the fact that you decide to follow Jesus, the choice of who your life partner would be becomes very, very critical and important. Because, while taking up jobs, or, making choices about where we will live are also very important and life-changing, none of these are expected to last a lifetime. You can change jobs, you can move places, but what the Bible teaches us is that God's expectation from marriage is that the 2 who are brought together within the sacrament of marriage would remain wedded, remain faithful to each other, would remain united as long as they live. So till the death of one partner, the expectation is that this will be a lifelong relationship. And therefore, God's will, very clearly, is that all human beings, including you and I, should find love and companionship with one adult of the opposite sex. So what is shown is that the biblical creation account talks about the creation of man and woman, male and female, and that they both would come together in marriage. Now, Christians would be blessed, people who are disciples of Jesus would be blessed to marry someone who walks with God and who also loves the Lord, who shares their faith. 2 Corinthians 6:14 talks about the fact that we ought not be unequally yoked with people who don't have the same burden or have the same set of ideals or values. So the whole idea of not being unequally yoked with people who don't believe in marriage, as well as in any other relationship, is a very important principle that the Bible teaches. And also, when we look at whom we should marry, rather than look at the external features or externals like looks and beauty and age and dowry and other kinds of things, what the Bible actually tells us is that when you look for someone, when you look for your better half, you really need to value Christian character more than anything else. And you find, for instance, in the way Boaz made a choice and decided that he would marry Ruth. And likewise, Ruth, when she herself responded to her mother-in-law's advice, and this is the case where she actually took the initiative, where she chose someone who was much older than her, who was not very young, not youthful, perhaps not necessarily very good looking because of his age, and not very strong, but she valued character and he valued character, and that actually resulted in a union which was so critical for the nation of Israel. Okay, so when we therefore look for people, and I presume that for most of us who are expecting to get married either in the near future or their marriages have already been fixed, I think it's important that we should look for someone who shares the faith. If we are disciples of Jesus, it's really someone who shares our faith and who in many ways would share the same life mission, life concerns that we ourselves have. So that's something that is important. Someone whose life and actions match their words. So that is, we're looking for character, someone who's loving, patient, kind, good, helpful. This is more important than anything else. Equally, it is someone whose beliefs and values match on important issues. And that's the question that is asked: do two people walk together unless they're agreed? And it really requires a certain set of beliefs and values to be able to work together. What is also important is that we need to communicate with each other. We need to talk to each other. That is actually more important, particularly since companionship and friendship are very important purposes of marriage. The ability to communicate and share thoughts, share ideas is really very important. And again, we have a very beautiful example in Isaac and Rebecca. Though they were in some sense different, and yet they were in some sense also connected. The whole idea of them coming together, they again looked for character. He looked for someone who was kind and who was willing to draw water for the animals. She likewise found him gentle and someone who very clearly responded to her. And you find that between them there is a very clear loving relationship that commences with their marriage. Okay, they of course made some mistakes in marriage, but the fact is that ultimately the choice that they made of choosing each other was actually the right choice, and that was something which God was pleased by, the choices that they made. And equally, in terms of preparing for the wedding, I think what is important for both parties and for both the couple, both the to-be husband and the to-be wife, the bride, to-be bride and the bridegroom, is that we should be able to outdo each other in showing honor. And I think a lot of the stresses and problems sometimes come up when there is a sense of who is more important, the boy or the girl, or the boy's family or the girl's family. And so as Christians and Christian disciples, we would always say that while preparing, we should be able to show consideration and respect to the other family. In making choices on the wedding and the wedding clothes and the wedding ceremony and the venue, we must remember that we need to live as Jesus did, very simply. And simplicity is a Christian discipline, and we need to remember that. And for many of us as disciples, this is a natural way in which our wedding is an opportunity for many others to know what Jesus is about, what the Indian Christian community is all about. And it's also important that we are able to communicate with each other, with one's fiancé, as much as is possible, as much as is permitted in our cultures and in our families. And more importantly, we should be very prayerful, and we need to come back to God and ask Him to give us the strength and the wisdom as we move ahead in this very critical and important relationship. And then when we come to the D-Day, which is the day of the wedding, just remember that our friends are watching us. And what they see about us actually in one sense is a reflection on what the church is like, or what Christ is like in some sense. Because they are really, like someone said, ultimately every disciple is for the world the fifth gospel. Okay, and so that is something that we need to remember. So what will people see at the wedding? Fun and frolic, respect for the other family, honoring each other, drunkenness, God-centeredness, showing off one's wealth or connections, greed, simplicity, westernized clothes, music and traditions, prayerfulness, perfect color coordination. I mean, I think sometimes we spend a lot of time on many of these things, and I think it's good for us as we look at this to figure out what is really most important for a disciple of Jesus. And therefore, as we make a choice, or as we go ahead with our own weddings, how do we make a choice when it comes to many of these little boxes that we have, what is it that will be seen? And some of us who probably are already married, when we look back at the wedding day, ask ourselves that question, were there some mistakes that we made? I mean, we can't correct any of it. But certainly when it comes to our children, when it comes to our friends, okay, this is something that we can always think about and talk about as to what really ought to be something that is seen on the wedding day. And then we come then, because of the choices that we make, the various sources of stress as a result of it. Again, I'll just have Jamila take us through the various sources of stress that can come up because of certain choices that we make.
Okay, so we can have stress at the wedding day and around the wedding, depending on all these various things, if we don't do it quite right. Okay, so the first reason that I can think of having stress before the wedding is if you're not sure about your choice, if you're not sure about the person who you have decided to marry. And this is where I want it to be interactive now. So I want you all to put it into the chat what you think. What are the reasons why you may not be sure about your choice or sure about the other person? Could you put your answers into the chat so we can interact?
Yeah. Maybe if you're uncomfortable, you could think about what if somebody else is unsure about their wedding.
Sorry, Abhijit? Yeah.
So I was just thinking if we can ask this question in from the third person perspective, whether if somebody's unsure, what do you think is the reason they may be unsure? And
right.
therefore
It doesn't have to be you, of course. It could be somebody else also. What is the reason why somebody may be uncomfortable about their choice? Fair enough.
And yeah, you can put it on the chat, please.
And if you choose to, you can also unmute and ask if you're okay.
Yes. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Yes. Anybody has anything to contribute? Not earning enough. Want to live off wife's income. So somebody has said that one of the reasons we may be uncomfortable is if one of the partners, here you have said wife's income, but it could very well be both, right? Both may be uncomfortable if the other person is not earning enough. All right, fair enough. That's one reason.
This is one thing I've observed also.
Marrying out of pressure from parents. Okay, so you're not sure yourself. You're
Yeah, I think
not knowing each other well enough before the wedding. Yes, thank you. That's another reason. So you haven't got to know each other well, so you're not sure about the choice. Anything else?
Anything else? There could be also some things people notice close to the wedding about the person's behavior that can make them unsettled. Do you think? Like maybe some talk about dowry or something like that.
Okay.
Like dowry. I was thinking.
Sorry, say that again, Abhijit.
Dowry, a demand for dowry towards the wedding, or
sorry,
that could be a reason sometimes.
I mean, likewise, are you not able to hear us well?
Yes, I'm not able to hear you.
Dowry. Yes, that's true. Dowry could be one reason why we are uncomfortable. Okay, so, I think Abhijit, I couldn't hear you very well, but I think what you are saying is you discover something about the person as time goes by. You discover something about the person about which you're uncomfortable. Yes, so I think all these reasons could be reasons for us to be a little nervous about the person. For instance, you may actually communicated very much to the person. Your parents may have pressurized you to get married, and they said this is a suitable person, and they say that you're a suitable person, and they sort of not earning enough. That could be a reason, yes, but we need to think again there, right? We need to sort out what is the reason, what is an acceptable reason to be unsure about the person, and what is not an acceptable reason. All right. As we said in the presentation, the brief presentation that Satish did, the main reason to get married should not be money, right? It should be the person's character. It should be whether the person loves the Lord. It should be whether you have enough in common in your life and ministry to live your life together, right? And you should be able to have that communication and that friendship that you should have with your spouse. Now, if the person is not earning enough, that should not really be a very important thing. But as you added, if they just want to live off your money, that obviously shows a flaw in their character, right? So you found this person has a flaw in their character that could well, right? Now, the answer to all this is, again, all the things that we mentioned in the beginning, that you should decide very carefully, choosing your conditions as godly conditions as possible. Look for somebody of Christian character. Look for somebody who shares the faith. Look for somebody who is who you're able to communicate with, who you are able to understand each other. You have to insist that you have the chance to know the person before you agree to get married. Okay. Now, I know that this is not often possible for everybody, but I think if we give up, even in a arranged marriage setup in our country, and you sort of plan and you pray and you tell them beforehand that I want this, then I think most parents these days are willing to allow you to talk and communicate to the other person. All right. So I think we should insist on this, and we should teach our young people that this is the way to go. You must talk and figure out whether that person loves the Lord. Try and understand about their character, try and communicate as much as possible. And then if you see some red flags, for instance, you see a flaw like this, they don't want to work, they want to live off your money, they're only interested in money, or whatever it is, they're asking about dowry, then you should not be afraid to even sometimes call it off. Okay. If you see a very big red flag. And in my work as a Christian psychiatrist, I often see this, that people say that I saw these red flags beforehand. He was violent, or she was showing signs of some kind of problem, paranoia, suspiciousness, but I did not act because I was scared to do anything. Okay, so yes, but this is the first set of reasons. Now, the second set of reasons why we may be scared is our own issues, okay, our own personal problems, which make us afraid to go ahead into the marriage. That as the marriage nears, we are uncomfortable about several reasons of our own. Do you want to think what those reasons could be? What are the reasons why my own personality or my own past or my own, something in my life makes me uncomfortable to think of getting married and sharing my life with somebody? So would you again put your things into the chat?
Can you repeat the question?
See, I said the second set of reasons why we are sometimes stressed about a wedding is our own problems. First is the problems with the other person. We are uncomfortable about our choice. Secondly is the other person may be okay, but I have my own problems. It may be my past. Okay. It may be certain issues in my life that make me uncomfortable because of me.
Right. Yeah. So any response?
You want to just think about that and let's discuss that.
Yeah. Yeah, what could be a person's personal, his or her very own issues
Yes,
that
their own
can
issues.
hinder their wedding decision? Uh, any any response, friends? What do you think?
What do you all think?
Personal
Personal
insecurities.
insecurities of any kind, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Pehla pyar, yes, thank you. Family debts, okay. Fear that my marriage also will fail just like my brothers, yes, thank you, yes, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Uh, feeling
Feeling
unprepared as a submitting wife, managing daily chores, other expectations, okay. Okay. Afraid of leaving the comfort zone, okay. I suppose you are all able to see this in the chat. So you saw the
yes.
reasons that the others have also said. Transitioning to a new place and job. Yes, these are all issues which come up, isn't it, when we are planning to get married? And these can cause a lot of insecurity in us. There may be our own personal insecurities, and particularly, I think this applies to our bodies and our expectation of how the other will see us. Okay, so, for instance, if we feel that we are overweight, or if we feel that we are not so pretty, or if we feel that we are not so smart, or we won't be able to manage, I'm not a good cook, or I don't have a very good job, how will I support my family? So, these insecurities may make me feel very unprepared for marriage. Now, as you all said, a previous relationship, this is a big reason. So, particularly if you haven't shared about it to the other person even a little bit, particularly if you haven't processed it completely, if you are still a little bit in love with that other person, if you still are hung up on that other person a little bit, if you haven't sort of dealt with it and moved on, then certainly that can be a major reason why you're stressed and you're wondering how you will balance it. Sometimes the other person may still be in touch with you, they may still be trying to contact you, they may still be trying to persuade you not to get married. So all these complications we do see. Yes, family finances can be a problem. You're worrying about how you will deal with the family debts and marriage issues, and how will I, once I get married, I won't have enough money. How will I support my family debts? That could be an issue. Then this whole thing about the fear that, like my siblings, my marriage also may end up in problems. So when you see close relatives going through a divorce or something, that can make you feel that mine also may end up like that. That may make you very insecure about going ahead. What is the other thing you said? Yeah. So one of you said that not being prepared for the new place and the new chores that you might have to do, manage a house, manage a kitchen, sort of take care of somebody else, take care of illness, take care of in-laws. So all these various things which push you out of your comfort zone, and you may be okay, someone has said being called ugly by someone, living with in-laws, guy not willing to live separately. Yes, so there's so many issues, no, that come up. All this whole prospect of how my life is going to be in the future. So these worries that will I be able to cope with all this? This could be a major reason why we are afraid to get into it. Okay, so we can go on, but we will stop here. Let's just think about how we have to deal with this. Okay, so my suggestion is that as we have said all this, we need to sort of, if we are getting married, we need to think about this well beforehand. And also we need to prepare other young people uh, that these issues may come up, right? And in order for us to deal with these issues, we should be very clear about certain things, right? Now, for instance, how are you going to live your life together? Are you going to share the roles, share the housework? Are you going to consult each other when it comes to where you're going to live, who's going to work, how you take care of your in-laws? So this all needs to be discussed with the partner well in advance, right? You need to talk about it. How do you want your home to be? Are you expecting me to be a submissive wife and you take all the decisions? Are you expecting me to be the only sole breadwinner in the house and you as a wife will be at home and not contributing to the family income? All these things need to be discussed very openly with the fiancé or fiancée before you marry, so that some of these insecurities will be dealt with, so that that, okay, you appreciate each other and you say that, look, I'm marrying you. I'm very happy with the way you look and I want to love you and I want to go ahead with this. So if you have that comfortable feeling with each other because you have talked about it, then the insecurity about your money and your looks and the chores and all that will settle down, no? Because that, look, we are in this together, because that is the whole purpose of marriage. If you're not marrying somebody with whom you're going to be in it together, that you decide that this is something we are going to share these things together, we will talk about this together. So look for a person like that, so that these insecurities are not huge. That, look, we will cope with all this. Okay, so I think that is the basic antidote, is choosing wisely, thinking ahead about all these things, finding a partner who is willing to talk about these things and share these things equally with you, who will treat you with respect and love as an equal partner, sharing the household responsibilities under God. Okay, so you look at each other's work as something which is God-given. Remember what one of the first things that Cherian shared in his slide was, we are co-stewards together of God's world. So both persons' work is important. So to find a partner who will respect each other's work, so that, I think this place of work, for instance, is a big thing these days. Now, are you willing to talk to each other and say that, how do we manage? Which place do we go to live? How do we figure this out? So talk about it, share about it. That is the antidote to this set of insecurities. Okay. Now, what about Pehla Pyar? That we didn't deal with. Pehla Pyar, as I said, probably what you need to do is first, before you consider getting married, or even if anybody, one of your friends or somebody has gone through a kind of love affair beforehand, give them time to get over it, process it, and move ahead before you think of getting married to someone else. Okay, that needs to be done. And you need to have got rid of any bitterness and anger that there is towards the other sex, that all boys are like that or all girls are like that. If you're going into marriage with that attitude, no, then obviously it's not going to work. Similarly, don't keep it secret. You should be able to tell your spouse to be that I have had this relationship and it's done. It's over. I've gone past it. I'm not anymore in this relationship. So you should be able to tell that. You don't have to tell all the details, but this much you should be able to say confidently and truthfully, that I've had this relationship, but I know I've come out of it and I'm fine now, and there's no need to worry about it in the past. Okay, right. Now, the third set of reasons why we may be insecure. What's the time? How much time do we have? Okay, the third set is the dynamics between the family. Okay, so just think about it. Two families are coming together, and sometimes the dynamics between the families can cause a lot of stress to the bride and groom. Okay, would you like to think how? Would you like to share how? Somebody has already said this, judging the girl based on their family wealth, and something earlier, vision, perception of each other. Okay, that is about the couple itself.
One person also mentioned about the fear of divorce, because divorce has happened in their family or friends.
Yes. I mentioned that. So okay. I guess the insecurity there we have to deal with by trusting the Lord, no? That if you are going to go into it with the right attitude and with the right worldview about marriage, that look, we go into it promising to love, honor, and respect each other. We go into it treating each other as equals. We go into it treating each other as co-stewards of God's world and respecting each other's work, respecting each other's families. If you go in with this frame of mind of wanting to give into the marriage rather than take, no, if you go in wanting to give, wanting to love, then your marriage has a high chance of succeeding. So I think you just need to trust the Lord here. So the antidote to that obviously would be to not think that because your brother or sister has gone through a divorce, you also have to. You don't have to. You can notice the mistakes that they made and pray for them, but also avoid the mistakes that they and their spouse made and go into it, or your parents as well. Often our parents also may have gone through that. Okay, so coming to the family dynamics, can we share that? What are the various things within the family dynamics between the families which can cause a lot of insecurity in the partners to be? What is this? I missed this. Two's word. Keep lying and running away from responsibility after marriage. Okay, we'll answer those questions later. Okay, I can't see the whole thing. The chat has gone up.
Right. Yeah. Can you repeat this section?
The issue is questioning. Yeah, what I said was a third set of reasons why we may have stress in a marriage situation is that the dynamics between the families before the marriage, no, that can cause a lot of stress. Right. Now, just imagine suppose they are from different communities, that issue may be there. Sometimes the issue may be one is from a Hindu family, one is from a Christian family. Sometimes one will be from one part of the country, somebody will be from another part of the country. Sometimes there may be a class difference. Sometimes you may be from the same community, but there might be some issues between the families, right? So what is going on there?
Yeah, I think one more thing to remember when we look at some of the issues that were brought up is to figure out which of these issues we need to talk and deal with even before we make the decision to get married. Okay, so there are issues which can be dealt with and which can be handled and talked about before we decide to get married. And there are things which may come up between the time we make the decision to get married and the marriage itself, the wedding itself. And there would be issues that may come up after the wedding. Okay, so there are these three categories of various issues that come up. And the wise thing would always be to deal with it as much as we can
beforehand,
before we make the decision itself.
Yeah, which is what we were saying.
So that is why the ability to communicate, the ability to talk
and choose wisely.
wisely is really very important.
Okay, so in this connection, somebody has said expectations of living life as they want. So the families may insist, may have a lot of, I think what you're saying is they might be a little demanding, okay, and sort of restrictive of how the couple lives. So it may be clear that these cultural differences, household chores and all are very important. So that can create stress. Language barrier, someone has said, can create a stress. Yes, it can create. So if one or the other doesn't know the language of the other, between the families, that can cause stress, and in the couple as well, right? What about Hindu, Christian? Does that create a difference? A lot of people come from Hindu families, right? A lot of people in our churches. So do you think that would be an issue if you're marrying somebody from a different religious background?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the relatives might refuse to come for the wedding also.
Relatives may refuse to come, and just figuring out which traditions of the other family can be safely used in a Christian wedding. We want to make them as comfortable as possible. So you want to take some of the traditions from the Hindu family as well into the wedding, but figuring out what those are can be very difficult. And we have seen many of our friends who marry, either Hindus who marry Christian, as in Christians from a Hindu background, or those who are marrying Christians from a Hindu background. We see how much they struggle sometimes. They want to incorporate some cultural elements, but choosing it can be very difficult. Yeah, should the couple listen to the family members? They might want to interfere in all the issues. This becomes an issue, isn't it? And what was the other one that they said?
Yeah, that's
following some of the rituals that are forbidden in the Bible. Okay. Hindus too have many rituals. It becomes difficult to go a long way. Okay. Yeah. So some of the, some of the things may be a problem. What about if you, even if they are both from Christian backgrounds, say one is from a tribal kind of culture, one is from a very urban culture, that itself can create its own issues, right? Okay. What about patriarchy will also come in here? No, sometimes that is very much a thing that the boys' family in our country, often there is this thing that the boys' family feels that everything we say should be listened to. So sometimes the the girl and her family may feel that we are being sort of bullied, okay, that whatever they say sort of has to be done, and if they say this date we have to agree to that date, if they say this ritual has to be followed, it has to be followed. So that kind of bullying, very very either conscious or unconscious feeling of superiority of the boys side can be an issue.
I think they also make a claim on the girl's salary straight away.
Okay, right.
Under this is
Claim
happened
on the
here.
girl's salary. Sometimes they may even ask to see the girl's certificates, show me your certificate. I don't, as if they don't trust that she has studied. So a sort of feeling that we are choosing, like you're choosing something from the marketplace, to buy or something. So
Correct.
Mangalorean and East Indian traditions also different specific food types to be followed, and then the in-laws simply fight over it. Okay, so the food customs, what is to be served at the wedding, whose people are going to get precedence at the wedding, so many such actually very silly things can become issues of stress within the family, within the couples. So the family dynamics can create a lot of stress for the couple. Now, how do we deal with this? I think the way to deal with it is, if you're particularly, if you are, when you are choosing and when you're talking about it, you should be able to sort of find that connection with your partner, that you agree that, look, we need to respect both our sides. Okay, remember one of the slides that we put up said we try to outdo each other in showing respect to the other family. So the bride and the groom, the Christian bride and groom, should set this example. You share with each other that, look, we are going to try and respect the customs of each other's families. And the boy should insist to his parents that we need to respect the girl's family. And the girl should insist to her parents that we need to respect the boy's family. Okay, so this kind of respect, which the bride and the groom sort of insist on to their family members, can go a long way to sorting this out. Okay, for instance, dowry, somebody raised it earlier also. The boy should be very clear and tell his parents right from the start that there is not going to be any talk of dowry in the marriage. Please do not talk about what you're going to get and what is going to be given and what she's going to wear and how much gold she has to wear and all these things. I do not want any of this talk. It is up to her what she wants to wear. Please do not try and get dowry and all that. Now, this discussion has to happen between the boy and his family a few years before he gets married. Okay. He has to prepare his parents well in advance that I am not interested in dowry. Dowry is a criminal according to the laws of the land. I do not want this talked about. So you have to make a stand with your family long before the marriage. Because if you do it 2 days before the marriage, they're not going to listen to you. They're used to bullying you as a child, no? So unless you show that you are a grown-up, mature Christian and you have views and you do want them to listen, and in a very respectful but assertive way, you have to deal with this well before the marriage. Okay, so this is very important. So after the parents realize that, okay, our son or our daughter has ideas of their own and has a sort of mature stand of their own, then they will respect you and they will listen to you and they will give it to you. But it will take those years of respectful dialogue. Okay, so this has to happen. And this is something which I hope we are able to teach our young people to do. Each family members have different expectation when the girl lives with in-laws, and it becomes very, very difficult if we don't talk about it. Exactly. So the girl and the boy should be able to talk about this, and then they should decide that how we're going to deal with this. boys have to be quite open, particularly if you're going to be living with the in-laws for some time. The man here is very important. He has to be able to be the connecting link between his parents and the girl. Okay, that's the only way this is going to work, because if he doesn't take her side, and if he just says, oh, just I don't know what's going on, please just adjust whatever they say, then he is washing his hands of the problem, and it is not going to help to sort the problem. He has to tell his parents that, look, I don't want I don't want you to impose on her. We will figure it out. Okay, so he has to be the bridge. The husband becomes non-responsive as he takes side of his parents and abandons the girl. Well, that is possible, but the only way to avoid this is to choose wisely. So young ladies, young women should be taught this, that when you're considering somebody for marriage, you must ask clearly and figure out very clearly what his views on marriage are. Who is going to take the decisions? Are your parents going to take our decisions, or do we two decide? If we are going to, where we are going to live, are we going to live with the parents, or are we going to live separately? Who decides that? Do the parents decide, or do we decide? So it's just one example. In everything, decide beforehand, figure this out beforehand. As Cherian was saying earlier, that figure this out beforehand, discuss it beforehand, so that this issue does not become a big thing later. There's going to be some friction between the families, whatever happens, because after all, it's two families coming together. There will be some rough edges, but we should be able to be the bridge between the families, set the example in respecting the other family, and also forgiving when they make a mistake. So this kind of thing, okay? So this can help to lead to less stress.
See, that is why that biblical verse is very important, no? Of a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they'll be one flesh. So it is they both now together who serve as the bridge between their respective families. And I think for both the families, they should be able to see the husband and wife as one, as united. And if that works, then many of the problems and issues can easily be surmounted, provided the two are one. And they are of one mind on every issue.
So making that linkage is the most important thing, which is why choosing someone with whom you can communicate and pray, and who you're on the same wavelength with about these issues, is the most important thing to having a stress-free marriage. Okay. All right. Last set of reasons why we may be stressed about the marriage. I'm just going to take the whole issue of finances. Okay. So think about it. What in this area, what is it that can cause a lot of stress in before the marriage, during the preparations? Finances. Finances and all the logistics of the wedding. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Would you like to put it in the chat? None of you think that finances are stressful. Increasing demands by the boys' side towards the wedding, one party overbearing the expenses. Okay. So demanding, one party being demanding, perhaps the boys' party, one party bearing all the expenses. Okay. Anything else? What causes stress on the financial side? Think about the weddings that you have attended recently. Think about the weddings you have attended recently.
To put up a big show, so that, the honor and the prestige of the family.
Okay.
And so people even take debt for the wedding.
Yes. So spending a lot on the wedding itself can be a stress to show off, maintain your so-called status, whatever. Yeah. I don't understand the question. Okay. The question was, in the area of causing stress, what role do finances play? If people are stressed before the wedding, what is the role of finances there? Money. Not being transparent about each other's expenses. Okay, all right. We're talking about before the wedding, okay? So before the wedding, not being transparent may not be such an issue. Perhaps you would like to explain what you mean? When you're hospitalized, what is that?
Yeah, I think we could deal with some of the questions later. We are
Your
talking about
husband
the
isn't
wedding.
supporting. Yeah, we're talking about the wedding. We're not talking about
Wedding,
after
right?
the marriage, okay? We're talking about the
Yeah.
wedding.
Yeah. How can finances stress the wedding? The
Yeah,
event.
so
Yeah.
one of the things is if we try and have a wedding which is way, way beyond our resources and means.
Means. Yeah.
And I think that's a choice which we have to make. And that's what we talked
Yeah.
about. Ultimately, Jesus expects his
Yeah.
disciples to be people who follow the discipline of simplicity. And who
Yeah. Well,
actually, and so that is where you have to figure out whether what you're willing to spend or what you're wanting to spend.
Shosha wedding,
Yeah.
sort of
Wedding, yeah.
worldly. Yes, yeah, that's right. Making a lot of show, the Shosha
Yeah.
wedding. And that is a social pressure, no? So I think a lot of young
Yeah.
people these days might fall for that. Social,
Correct.
relatives, traditional pressure. Yes, exactly, Marina.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on people to sort of live up to this, this thing that
Correct.
you have this kind of wedding,
Yeah.
you have to have this kind of
And that is,
food or flowers or
and
a
that is-
sari or,
and that is why the young couple should have their view, and they should have a clear view on what they want. And they should be able to talk about that to their respective parents. And one very, particularly on expenses, and I mean, that again is a choice between, and this is again something that the couple must be able to talk and serve as the bridge when it comes to the expenses. But clearly, one principle which has often worked in the past is, the husband's side takes care of the bridegroom side take care of their expenses. The bride side takes care of their expenses. So, for instance, saris or gowns or whatever it is. I mean, rather than getting into all these details, just leave it to the respective parties to make the right choices there and to make the appropriate choices there.
But also encourage them that, look, if the bride and the groom decide and sort of ask each other to be simple and say that let's keep it simple. And then you have to again persuade your parents couple of years before the wedding.
Exactly.
That you have to do this beforehand, that we have to tell our young people to do this beforehand. That, look, prepare your parents beforehand that I do not want a big wedding. I want a simple wedding. I don't want to wear a lot of gold. This is what I want to wear. So this is the sort of thing we have to negotiate with our parents. Okay. Yeah. Now I'll tell you, when it came to our daughter's wedding, we had to negotiate the other way. We had to sort of persuade her to wear a little bit because she didn't want to wear any gold at all. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So both are unemployed and very little saving their parents to arrange the wedding, and they're planning everything themselves. What do the couple do?
I think we are moving into the question area. If you settle this fourth section, will be better. Then we can go to questions.
We'll do that. Yeah. So anyway, okay. So since that's all the expectation.
Food, I think, in this section, food is also a very big thing. Food, people want it lavish very often.
Yes.
And they want chicken, mutton, fish, and it should be.
That's true. And when you're doing it for 1,000 people or whatever, and they want to invite the whole khandan, then naturally it's going to be a very expensive affair. Then if you're going to have it in some fancy place, again, it becomes a very expensive affair. So again, this is something which the bride and groom need to talk about. We need to cut our expenses. We cannot take loans and get married. And the young people have to put their foot down. As Christian young people, we need to encourage our young people to be simple, to not do this, to expend as much as you can afford. Do not take loans and do it. Try and keep it as simple as possible.
Do not take loans and do not use up all your savings.
Do not use up all your savings or your parents' savings for this. Okay.
To be wise here.
So we really need God's wisdom to be able to figure out how to do this and to do it in as simple a way as possible, while inviting our family and friends and community and whoever we want to. So finding that balance is something which we need to constantly pray and ask God to help us to do. Okay, so this is what we wanted to share. Now, perhaps we leave the time open, Abhijit, for questions.
Yeah, sure. Okay, friends. Just
there were some questions in the chat box, Abhijit.
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
take any of them?
Do you want to? I mean, we finish the talk and then we have another section of live streaming. So do you want to do that or just let this continue? But I
Whatever
think
you like. It's up to you. You
question.
can decide whatever you want.
Yeah, I think it's fine if we keep it in this. Okay, I think